Good morning, Africa, Nigeria, and my very own Lagos. It's with all pleasure I introduce you to the most unique platform you'll come across, and that is Waves Breakfast, hashtag What Are You Saying? The premier platform for thought-provoking discussions on critical issues shaping Nigeria's future, from politics to governance, leadership, social issues, tech, and finances. I'm your anchor for this morning, God's own fame, Okiki Olatayo Jaloko, and I'm here alongside my ever-beautiful sisters. Today, we're diving into a pressing issue that sparked intense debate across Nigeria: the recent 2025 UTME results and the mass failure among candidates. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, has released the results, and the numbers are concerning. Many students have failed to meet the expected standards, leading to questions about the causes and potential solutions. If you want to follow this conversation and all other discussions, tune in every Monday morning to Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. at Official Upgrade TV. Well, announcing the beauty of God in human form, God's beauty, and God's precious one, Oluchi Precious Maker. Good morning, babies.
Good morning. I like that.
This morning. God's own fame, God's
yes,
precious one,
yes,
God's
yes.
beauty.
Bring it on.
Our almighty.
Energy.
How you guys doing?
I love it. Good morning, Okiki. I'm beautiful, as usual. How are you doing?
I feel good. I feel great. Thanking God. Thanking
Thanking the Most High.
Thanking
What
the
exactly
Most
is going on with Oluchi?
I feel like I'm in a movie set because this is not playing out naturally. First, she's greeting us with the whole God, and you are responding like a robot. Good morning, I'm very good. How are you doing? I'm like, you guys should be normal, but I'm glad to be here. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning to you too. Since you're all answering that way.
I know,
So
right?
there's this skit I've been seeing online. And I think that for some reasons, I'm going to force all of us to do it. This whole taking instead of speaking normal English,
Okay.
it's like whatever activity you're doing, it's like taking the phone, sitting the bus.
Oh.
So it sounded like the local Yoruba that we used to watch then.
yes,
But
yes.
a lot of people have now taken it up and
I've
started
not
using
come
it as
across
a...
this.
You
How
must
have
have
you
missed
not?
it.
I think
Are you
it's
on the
honestly.
internet?
Yes,
Are you
I am,
like-
but
Are
the
you on Mark
algorithm works.
Zuckerberg's
It
internet?
works differently.
Emphasis,
Maybe I just
please.
didn't come across that.
So it's been very funny because the way this oh wow is now like a common thing amongst everybody, not knowing that the oh wow started from like the Yoruba region.
yes.
It was something that was very funny to me, and then I liked the idea. So we're going to do that after the
on
show.
the spot, thank God,
Yeah,
after
so
the show.
you can see it. I think they'll find it on our official page after the show.
On Instagram.
Well, this is the time for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Click that subscribe button now, like and share the link. You can tune into channel 145 on your Go TV, see us or follow us on all our social media platforms showing on the screen, and do not miss this. We'll go on a break right now. When we return, we'll take you through the top stories across the globe. Please stay locked in. Sure, glad to have you back from that break. Now let us take a look at the news from the pages of today's newspaper. Today we would highlight the top stories from The Punch, The Nigerian Tribune, and of course, The Independent paper. As usual, I like to start with God's Beauty. So God's Beauty, please take us through.
All right, straight into the New York Times newspaper. By the main headline, top center, we have the fight over Trump's agenda runs through Alaska. Then top right headline, we have the vast tent city for the fell far short. Under that, we have, no, not under that, by the side of it rather, we have Democrats blast crypto dealings of Trump family. The middle section by the left, we have intensive push planned in Gaza. Middle section, that's at the center, we have Made in America becomes trade war casualty. Bottom left headline, we have that 76 years of longing for a child taken from her. That's this very sad story. Then the last headline on the newspaper, we have bottom right headline, VA staff crammed in offices says patient privacy is suffering. So I want us to have a conversation around this headline that says Democrats blast crypto dealings of Trump family. So Democrats in the United States are expressing concerns over the Trump's family involvement in cryptocurrency transactions. They believe that these dealings might not be entirely transparent or secure. As a result, they are pushing for a detailed investigation to uncover any possible wrongdoing. They also want to introduce stricter regulations on cryptocurrency use, especially when high-profile political figures are involved. Cryptocurrency is often seen as a tool that can be exploited for illegal activities like money laundering or evading financial regulations because of its decentralized and somewhat anonymous nature. Since the Trump family holds significant influence, any questionable crypto dealings could be problematic. Lawmakers fear that these transactions might make the financial system more vulnerable or be used by foreign entities to extend influence, posing a potential threat to United States national security. I feel like it was important for us to have this conversation for two reasons, actually. One, I like how the Democratic Party, they're coming out to say that this is something that we need to work on, because let's not lie, we know, just like it is stated, it's here. I mean, cryptocurrency, sometimes you really cannot know who exactly the persons are doing all of these things. And when we have, influential people on board having to be into this cryptocurrency, most of the times when they divert funds, you can actually not tell what went down exactly because of, the anonymous nature that, it embodies. So I like the fact that, they are coming out to say it. But then the question now begs, is it because they didn't win? That's the reason why they are coming out. Again, it's not like the Republican government and the Republican Party or any other body coming out to say it. It's the Democratic Party. And we know how we play here in Nigeria, where, obviously, where we had the whole issue with VDM and he's still telling persons, let me come back to Kiki now, she gets the drift. You see any persons come out to say it because, not because they really have the say on the matter, but because they want to, of course, tell whoever that is on seat that, okay, you're not doing your job properly. So now that, we see the democratic system coming out to say that for the fact that Trump is already involved in this whole cryptocurrency, it's important that we check it out. This is almost saying that you don't trust who the person is, and you're sure that he's definitely going to extort money or collect money from the government and somehow put it into, cryptocurrency so that many people don't know where exactly the money is going to. So it's a very dicey thing, in as much as it's something that I think is important for them to, check out. But again, coming from the Democratic Party, you already know what's going on. So yeah, that's all I have for you.
I think that one thing that I think in politics here in Nigeria, which I don't know if that applies to the same in the West, is that you have to have some declaration of assets and public funds. That way, somehow, it helps people like the EFCC and some other governmental bodies to track if you are caught for corruption. It's easy for them to identify some of these your properties and all of these things. So I don't know if that's the same thing in the West, and if that is the case, I think that if he had publicly declared his assets in the crypto beforehand and all his maybe all his other properties, maybe they might be able to manage that situation and stop him from, if at all he's going to do that, siphon money from the government into his cryptocurrency assets and all of that. So, but
you know what I think about this story? It's almost like people are painting how tech is being used by these individuals to siphon money and everything. But let's not forget that this same tech, if used in another way, can be a solution to help get these people that are not accountable or transparent. And I think during our conversation, during the school tour, there were some conversations around blockchain technology, where everything is left bare for people to see what's happening. So rather than
crypto is untraceable.
That's what I'm saying.
Just
that's how it is exactly.
That's
you cannot even know who has it. Let's even start with
people into. So that was their own marketing strategy.
Yeah.
That you can make transactions without these
One
things
thing
being
with tech, I
traceable.
don't think there's anything absolute in that sense. It might look untraceable now, but that's why there are a lot of tech genius every day, every time looking for more innovation to help debunk some of these things. So even if it's looking like that now, I think the focus for people should start thinking of solutions to take away that sole power and authority that comes from the crypto through the same technology. That's what I'm saying.
that
So
they
I think
allow
that's
they
something
allow
to look
that
out
work.
for. We need more solution-driven conversations because we can keep pointing the problem, but how do we get better from this point? That's what I think.
Yeah, I think that's something the Democratic Party was actually even trying to portray.
Theirs is more political.
Yeah, of course, obviously.
More
Obviously.
political.
Obviously.
Anyways, let's see what, sorry about that.
Thank
Let's
you.
see what the Punch has for us this morning. Pardon me, having a bit of difficulties here,
Sorry.
but I'm back. All right, so... All right, so the major headline says, rising insecurity, NAS and ex-generals demand urgent military rearmament or rearmament. Senate moves to tackle killings as retired military chiefs and reps lament insurgent use of sophisticated arms. We also have stories here saying that Senate may pass tax bills today and panel to oversee IBAS. JACPA, UK considers tighter visa rules for Nigerians and Pakistanis. Federal government kicks as Pat Utme forms shadow government. Above that, we see defections. Okowa denies 500 billion naira refund claim as Oborevori visits Tinubu. And that's all the story here on The Punch. Of course, for the headlines only. But for the other stories, there are many other things in the Punch paper themselves that you can go check out. But let's talk about the major headline, the one that talks about insecurity. And most especially, you know, the comment from the retired military general. So it says here that Senate moves to tackle killings as retired military chiefs reps lament insurgent use of sophisticated arms. These generals have again called on the federal government to urgently equip the Nigerian armed forces amid growing concerns of the resurgence of terrorists in the Northeast. And let me get to the budget allocation more. It says, though budgetary allocation to the defense and security sectors has steadily increased, there have been complaints and questions about the quality and volume of arms available to the troops. In 2023, the federal government earmarked 2.98 trillion for defense and security, and this rose to 3.25 trillion naira in 2024 budget. And for 2025, President Bola Tinubu proposed a record of 4.91 trillion naira out of the 49.7 trillion naira national budget aimed at enhancing the operational effectiveness of security agencies. And despite this substantial investment, Nigeria continues to grapple with deep-rooted security challenges, including insurgency and banditry. So let me just summarize this a little. You know, ex-military officials or chiefs in that sense have come out to say, you know, that these people in the army or military officials need to have more equipment, they need to be better helped, right? And then I really like this breakdown that the Punch has given us of all the allocations for insecurity from 2023, 2024 to 2025. And it seems as though it's not really a money problem that we have based on these budget allocations. It is what is being pumped to solve security problem. It's not small money. We're talking of trillions of naira. And I've seen on some other papers as well where international bodies like the EU, you know, have offered to lend us some money or give us some money to sort this insecurity problem. So I don't like it when people now paint it or make it look like it's because there's no money, you know, to equip these people. That's why we're still seeing a lot of insurgency. I think what needs to be sorted is the structures and system in this particular organization. The money is there, but how is it being used? What structure is put in place to ensure that, you know, it is used for what it is meant for? Because insecurity it has always been a major challenge for us in Nigeria. It has hindered many growth for us. It has hindered a lot of tourism opportunities for us. We've had a lot of assistance internationally. This money is there from the budget. It's a whole number. So if you're just coming out to say, oh, we need more arms, we need more ammunition, we need more money there, That's not the problem. I think there's more underground problem of how this money isn't used for what it is meant for. So it's almost like whatever solution you are bringing forward, it's not making headway. And I think that this comment has to be looked at very carefully. But I'm glad that people are still talking about insecurity. But this time, like I said earlier, we need to start having more solution-driven conversations rather than just highlighting the problems that we're already aware of. Before I wrap up my own banter this morning, I saw another comment that relates to what we're discussing this morning. So the minister, I don't know if he's of education now, came out to say that the reason why we have this massive failure in UTME is because malpractices, I don't know how they put it now, maybe the forum or people that are tackling malpractice are doing their job. And because they are doing their job, that's why they are able to expose a lot of failure in the UTME. Whilst that might not be entirely wrong, I don't think that is a statement that should be made publicly for a sector you're supposed to cater for. It is a slap on anyone's face when people fail. You know, it gives me this feeling of lecturers in school that are happy when their student fails. Almost like nobody can pass this course of mine. Almost like it gives you joy when nobody passes. Like, should be people that used to cheat. I will see those of you that are cheating. That's not the case. The essence of examination is that people pass because it shows that learning took place. So if learning did not take place, that should be your worry beyond the pass or the fail. So coming out to say because the malpractice, whatever forum is doing their job, that's why there's massive failure. I think we have more problem than the malpractice, whatever. And that's how I will end my banter.
I like as you mentioned the insecurity issues, and to be honest, it's very common knowledge that almost everywhere, everybody's at alert, looking behind their back. Even the most safest states in that sense still have some level of insecurity attached to them.
Yeah.
But one thing I've noticed is that there is no transparency in whatever it is that is being done. So this is a problem. How can we solve it? As Oluchi rightly said, that solution-driven, approach is what we need. Is that first off, there needs to be transparency in how these budgets, whether the international body, whether the national budget, how it is catering for tackling insurgency and insecurity in the state. And then we can now know what way we individuals can come in. Like there's the vigilante group, there's the Amotekun, there's all these groups that have come up to say, okay, we'll take care of this ourselves without the government budget being involved. So if they can tell us the areas, the high-risk areas and the areas where they are actively tackling, then it can help other people also focus on other small areas that over time, maybe in 5 years, in 10 years, we'll just hear that this place has been taken over by this so group of people, this terrorists. It starts from small number, attacking one house to 5 houses. So if there's transparency in that sense, I think that we might be able to manage insecurity. I'll talk more on the UTME results as we discuss the topic, but let me quickly take us through the Nigerian Tribune. And on the headlines, we have Senate proposes National Summit on Insecurity, moves law on hunting to nip repeat of Uromi 16, sets up 19-man committee to oversee emergency rule in rivers, reps to Pali Senate to restore democratic order, says Speaker. On the left-hand side, we have Tinubu meets Oborovi, other APC governors amid defections and realignments. We will not honor reps' invitation, says Benue Assembly. DSS removes Lanre Arogundade's name from its watch list. More CEOs worried about inflation and skills gap, says PwC report. Above the mass, we have CSO seek explanation on 6 billion naira police uniform contract, files FOI request to petition ICPC over alleged 234 billion naira police funds. 2 million children malnourished in Nigeria, second highest worldwide, says UNICEF. 10 years after family orders celebrate Oni Shijowa Day. 6 Delta PDP rejoins APC again and again. 2 Enugu Labour Party reps move to PDP. Delta Assembly Speaker, 21 orders defect to APC. Edo Assembly Speaker, order dumps PDP for APC. Nigeria First policy, long-awaited relief to manufacturer, says policy will boost nation's GDP by 56% and reduce unemployment by 37%. I think that's the only good news necessarily here. But just to quickly highlight the children are something that I'm very passionate about. And to even hear that UNICEF is still saying that about 2 million children are malnourished, I'm still concerned about where most of these, where the data of which or which part or which state in Nigeria has most of these children affected. Because if that is the case, as I said, it will also help, the same way it's going to help insecurity, it's going to also help people to manage or understand that, okay, in the north, in the south, in the west, about 500,000 children is here malnourished. In the north, maybe about 1 million. In the south. So then people or organizations who want to help, this cause by also eradicating malnourishment can now focus on these areas to make sure. So you're not going over the same area over and over again while this malnourished situation is increasing, and you're like, I'm doing my job, I'm doing my work, I'm contributing to society, but then you might be contributing to the quota that are already well-fed, right? So I think that as UNICEF have come up to say that about 2 million Nigerian children are malnourished, and it's the second highest burden of malnourished children in Africa. I think that's such a bad news in a land of many farmers, many resources and stuff like that. I think that's one thing that we should look at. I hope that they can also come up with more data to help organizations who care about eradicating malnourishment or malnutrition to also attack those areas where it is necessary. And that's basically all I have in my news today. I don't know if you have any other comments.
Nope. Let's go
to the hot topic. So we'll go on a break right now. When we come back, we'll come back with the hot topic for today. Please stay with us.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlights. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Welcome back to the show. As mentioned earlier, today we're discussing the mass failure or systemic failure. We're asking the question, is this a mass failure or systemic failure? And we're exploring the reasons behind the 2025 UTME results. The recent 2025 UTME results have sparked intense debate about the causes of mass failure among candidates, while some attribute it to individual shortcomings like malpractices, lack of readings. Others point to deeper systemic issues within Nigeria's education sector. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, released the results, and the numbers are concerning. Many students have failed to meet the expected standards, leading to questions about the causes and the potential solutions. We have both the thriving systemic issues within Nigeria's educational sector and individual factors that have been contributing to these results. We have issues like inconsistent government policies and their impact on student performance. Just a month ago, we had the 6334 change from the regular educational structure that we had. We're also having issues of lack of resources and access to quality education. We can see poor teacher quality and its effects on student outcomes, where teachers are lackadaisical about children's educational background or mentality. We also have technical issues during computer-based exams where your computer can decide that it's not working, and then you might spend 30, 40 minutes trying to figure it out. We also have individual factors like poor reading culture, over-reliance on social media, and inadequate preparation. But this morning, we'll be discussing the potential solutions such as comprehensive reforms, examination-focused teaching, adjusting exam schedules, and decentralizing UTME. To guide our conversation this morning, I would like to first off pose a few questions to my co-anchors, but I want our audiences to also join in this conversation. Why do you think that this issue, from last year's results to last 2 years' results, it almost seems that there was like a huge decline? And for some reasons, I was trying to read about it, and I found out that in 2022, there was a 37% pass, right, in that sense, or failure in that sense. So we had the higher number of people who passed. In 2023, it was about 41.7%. But in 2025, we're seeing such huge numbers, and then they are more, just like you said, that maybe they are now people that are doing malpractice, or the people that are catching people doing malpractices are now doing their job in that sense of it. But I'm still concerned about the many issues that are surrounding these things. Before we start discussing in the individual factors of lack of reading culture and all of these things, let's first tackle the governmental issues. Why do you think that there's, or what's like the primary cause of this UTME failure that we currently have now, apart from malpractice? What other issues do you think that you have been able to see or highlight from it?
This is a very, very powerful conversation because there are even younger people that probably wrote UTME and WAEC not very long ago. I mean, unlike other elderly people that have been having this conversation, they wrote UTME probably 20 years ago or 15, but we are just fresh out of school in that. Maybe not exactly fresh, but we still have, you know, a purview of what works. Sometimes the curriculum doesn't undergo a lot of changes until you're like, sometimes I meet some people, I'm like, oh, you're reading this novel. I read it when I was, you know, in this class. So it shows that we can relate a lot to this topic, not just experientially now, but, you know, based on research and everything. And I'd say that it's a combination of many things that has caused this particular failure. And I would say that 2025 is just exposed it a little more. Yes, you have highlighted the percentage over time. So it seems as though people can leverage on this fact that you have brought and say, okay, people were passing before, so it's not a systemic problem. In that sense, that those ones that pass, did they not, are they not in the same Nigeria? Like you have twins. Exactly. But I'll just say that they were lucky not to have been exposed, or the system was not as exposed as now. 2025 just highlighted very obviously to our face that there is a systemic problem generally across board. But I'm not just going to throw, you know, this only to the system, but also it's a combination of both. There's systemic problem, there's student problem, there's a whole lot of problem. And I'll say generally before, because I can mention a lot of things with this introduction, but I don't want to answer all the questions now. So I'll say examinations generally in Nigeria needs, you know, a lot of attention. One thing I like with when problems like this are highlighted is that it makes a lot of people to be awakened. Because I can tell you very well now that a lot of educational researchers, right, guidance counselors, schools, universities, and people who are still intentional about the educational system in Nigeria have been awakened by this particular figure. Last 2 years, we were calm, we were okay with it. Let's just have the next batch of 100,000 students in universities. But now a lot of people are awakening to the imminent problems that we have in the sector. We've been very good enough to just sweep things under the carpet and make it look like we're doing well in the educational sector. We come out to criticize it, they'll give you some other proofs to say, no, that's not how it is working. But this has already shown us that let's not be oblivious. There's actually a problem. And I'm glad that this is not just awakening systems and people in charge of these structures, but the students themselves. I mean, if I was going to write UTME next year and I'm seeing this highlight, I'm already sitting up and like, oh, there's fire on the mountain. There's much work to be done. This is not just awakening students and lecturers, but also international bodies, people that are concerned with education system across Africa and, you know, West Africa, to say that, okay, there's something to pay attention to. So I'm glad we're having this conversation, and I'm really hoping that the right voices need to hear it. And there's a number of things to open from it. It's a combination of both systemic issues, individual problems, curriculums, teachers. The list is endless, honestly. And that's how I'll end my banter.
I like when she said, and that's how I'll end it. That's
Because
if you have anything else to say.
Honestly, it's a
let me
topic
know.
that
But God's
eats
beauty,
deep.
I would like to hear your own view.
I feel like Chadede said it all, really. When it comes to the youth, I don't think it's just one person that should be blamed. Do you understand? It across board, but the systemic problem, the individual themselves and the parents themselves. Because, I mean, the truth is, like I said, when it comes to the youth, right, if you look at the whole problem with the UTME and why it's, I mean, the massive failure, you see that we have like the government issue where there's probably lack of funding. You know, even when there's funding, the money is not, you know, utilized for the right reasons. Then you have, I mean, you know, you want those people to use a computer-based whatever. At the end of the day, you're not even giving them the proper, you know, whatever. If you remember, there's a time where I was even saying that, I think a son's friend or so, his system was short for complete 1 hour. So how do you expect that person to be able to do, I mean, the rest of the hours that's left? So what do you think the person would do? How do you expect such a person to pass? Do you understand? So, like, again, there's a government problem. Then coming to the youth, right? I mean, there are so many people right now. In short, when we were having this conversation, I was just thinking about it. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with someone, and I was telling this guy that, see, I'm very sure that most of the people that went for that VDM protest, some of them are the people that actually wrote the jam. This is not shade or anything, but it's the truth. Do you understand? So many of them are not even very conscious about having to read. They're not intentional about reading. They are always more on social media. You see them there doing their dance and all of that. I mean, they don't really prioritize education the way we do. Do you understand? They don't see I mean, how necessary it is and all of that, the importance. So that's also a problem, right? Then coming back to the parent themselves, there's some parents I don't even know the worth of education. They are more concerned about, I mean, just do what you do. May not be like saying no go school, may not be like saying no carry you go school. So all of these things that you can see, it's synthetic. So until we are able to tackle the problem from each sector, that's the only time we'll get better. But of course, as we, you know, keep having a conversation, we'll of course, you know, talk about the solutions and things that needs to be done.
I think I'm going to cite my own experience. So when I wrote UTME, I think I wrote UTME in 2012. That was such a long time. But I remember that when I wanted to register for JAM, as at that time, they just suddenly told me that it was late registration. And I was very shocked because I just heard about the information like 3 days before the time I went to register. Like, it have closed. There's no Lagos again. But because I wanted to write it that year, we just asked, okay, what available states is there for me to write this exam? And they gave me Ondo. So I had to travel all the way to Ondo to write my exam, and I had to go with my mom. So the night before, I was already stressed because we just arrived in guest house. It was in the school. We had to walk to go and look for which center I was going to be sitting to write the exam. Morning of the exam, my computer refused to work. And then they kept on saying, oh. And then one woman made very nasty comment, and she was like, she doesn't know the kind of spirit I brought to the exam. That is my computer that is not working. That was just me amongst many other people that their computers were not working. So apparently they had not turned on that computer even days before to ensure that every computer was working for the exams that they were going to, you know, render to these kids, that me as a child as at the time. So I was like, what's going on here? She told me to get up. We moved away. Okay, you people that your computer is not working, step outside. So we had to step out first, waited for the people who were writing their own to finish before coming in. And then as we were coming in, a lot of people were now asking, what question did you see? What this one did you see? But at that time, I didn't care about the question. My own was that these people have already, like my whole head is like, what is going on? So what am I going to do? What if I get there and the computer doesn't? First, our comments. Secondly, the fact that a lot of people, as they were coming outside, you know, that buzz of, hey, or the question, so everything was like, hey, bim, 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 bim. And then, you know, when your parents already have like high hopes of you, and then you're like, hey, you're going to fuck this up. I got there, I wrote the exams. Under 30 minutes, my computer went off. Just writing the exams. Ew. And she came back and she was like, hey, I've told you that you this game don't have good spirit. And she was like, hey, it has gone off. The thing refused to come on. And you know, when you log in, you cannot just go to another computer and just start all over again. So that's how my UTME story ended.
If we're going to share experiences, I think I want to even talk about mine in this, if we have that opportunity.
Well, we should have that opportunity, because we need to now talk about real life experiences so that these people can know that it's not just the fact that we are seated here, we have gone through schools, we have gone through school and we are fine. It's the fact that this problem, I'm talking about as far back as 2012, where it will seem as if malpractice or all these computer issues were not, you know, eminent. But this is stating that it has been happening and a lot of people just didn't talk. Obviously, I didn't really have social media to go online and say, hey, this exam, because for me, it was just about my computer has gone off. If I don't pass this exam, it has to be the following year again. I'm going to miss school. I'm not going to go to university with my friends, all those kind of stuff. So as we were leaving, because the next day we had to go back to Lagos, as we were leaving, then, you know, jam, immediately, I think the second day, to under 24 hours, you get your result. I got 206. And if you see the way my mommy slapped me, because it was a public bus, she slapped me from the back, and I was like, yes, yes. And I was like, what is the yes? Because it was a phone number I used at the time so that you can get the results. So when she told me 206, I was not happy. I was not happy because I know that
you would have done better.
You know when they say grace of God, but it was not about grace at that point. For me, it was just about I didn't do my best. I didn't get to do my best. That's before I felt like the structure cut me off from doing my best. They limited me. So that can make me feel like, okay, forget it, this jam, take it. I don't care about education anymore. What's the essence of education? So that's a systematic problem. The problem that would have gone to an individual problem if I felt like, okay, there's no need for education anymore. There's no need to read anymore. It's not as if my book is even going to do anything for me in the first place. So that's an individual problem. But if you see how both of them work, you realize that it's lying more on the efficiency of the government, right? We've had issues where they say school na scam, this one is scam, because of the structure of government. I also remember that when I wanted to get into university, you had to be in the school to know what was going on in the school. If you were going to register to do clearance, if you're not inside the school, somebody who was in the school before will tell you, they have changed it during my time. So you had to be in the school, and the website was not working. So you had to be in the school to know what was happening in the school, which is not supposed to be. So apart from the governmental thing, there's also the structural one, from the university to the JAM board itself. What guidelines are you releasing early enough? What passage or what pass are you expecting from the student? I don't think that people who say that AOC is like too far-fetched. Sometimes these things are necessary. If it's current affairs, I cannot be reading all the current affairs in the world. What is that focus area? Are we talking more about Nigeria? Are we talking about more of the international? So this is talking about changing the examination system to start with. We should be more, I will not say culturally focused, but we should more focus on improving the educational sector and the minds of the people in Nigeria for the international body and for the nation itself, rather than la crème la peau, dub. Like my lecturer used to, I have one particular lecturer is always saying, dub. I didn't write this, so you should write it. And then we'll meet at the exam hall. And that was the vibe that the man always gave us. So we're never enthusiastic about going further. If we say one scientist, he died at this, so this, he'll say, so what's my business with his death? People should write it. Excuse me. So these were the issues that we had in school. I'm so sorry, guys. This cough is getting the best of me.
Honestly, I think that there was this particular school of thought, because I taught for a while. I taught in a primary school, and there was this consultant that came to the school and told us that in Nigeria, apologies, this cough, wherever you are coming from,
Holy Ghost fire.
You need to go on a break.
Yeah, you need to go on a break.
Okay, go straight to hear Oluchi's thoughts on this conversation. Please stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlights. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Welcome back to the show. I think that this shows that we are humans too, and then we are allowed to. I've been maybe under the weather, but I have to be here for, Oh,
I'm here for you.
Oh, she really the connection. That's it. Energy.
I like that, but yes, the conversation has just had to be said, and that's why we're here. So, Oluchi, I really want to hear what you had to say before we went on a break.
I'll say it. And this is a bit controversial. So I was saying that I did teach in a primary school at a point, and we had this consultant that came that made me see things a little differently. He said that examination structure generally, not just Nigeria, but across the world, is really not the test of knowledge. And if you see UTME to me is like a make or break it moment. So when you mentioned the fact that you felt agitated to write your exam, I'll give you this practical example. I wrote my JAMB in 2017. And before then, there was this mock JAM that we did. Now, let me tell you my psychological framework when I wrote my mock JAM. I was like, it's just this mock JAM. I think I'll just do it. And this is not the main JAM. Don't bother yourself a lot. And when I wrote that mock JAM, I had 260 because I didn't bother much. Not like I was not reading. I had read, I understood some things, but I was under less pressure. And I wrote and I had 260. Then when the main exam came, because of this pressure of, oh my God, this UTME is once in a year. If you don't make it precious, next year you will join your juniors. Your younger brother will meet you in university. A lot of pressure. When it came out, it wasn't so bad, but it was 244. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying that sometimes, I know that we are looking at a broader issue of failure, but if we start understanding that there are deeper things to examinations in Nigeria that we need to start uncovering, and that's the psychological framework. Examination to me is not really the true test of knowledge. I've seen people who have had A's in certain make it or break it moments, and when they stay in situations that demeans their creativity or some other problem-solving skills, you're like, I thought you were the ones having these A's and the B's. So that means people sometimes are just concerned with memorization. Let me just learn this. Let me have my 350. Let me have my A, and I'm over it. So yes, this has highlighted a problem for us. But maybe if we start seeing more continuous assessment mode to determine people's, success rates, things will be better for us. Now, I'm saying this not because it has been very approved by many educational bodies. This is like a debate between different schools of thought. Some say, oh, no, the examination structure should still be as it is. But I think things like this have highlighted to us that UTME especially is a major make-it-break-it moment for people. And there's a lot of pressure that comes with it. I remember when even with my 244, I couldn't get into University of Lagos to study English at that time. Do you understand? And my dad was like, oh, this school, in fact, I don't even know what to do. This next jam, better pass it. If you don't pass it, you go and do something else. Do you understand? So that kind of pressure translated to me or transferred to me now. And I'm like, oh my God, this make it or break it moment. God, just help me this 1 year. And I don't think that's how success, academic success, or even an all-round success should be measured for students. So yes, we're talking about different systemic problems, but I think that there's a psychological framework to examinations generally across board that is also an underlying issue if we want to be holistically true, in my own, way.
Okay, so can we address teachers? When we wanted to, and I said I was going to publicly say this, when we identified this topic and we were like, we should discuss it, I was looking forward to asking for a guest. And I was looking at young educators. I was looking at, okay, how can we get young educators to come and talk on the show and also maybe tell us something that we don't know. Now, going online, we saw a few young educators, sent them a message, but there was no response, right? And I got worried and I was like, okay, first off, there are just few people who I have seen that are educators in that. There's a difference between teacher and educator, of course, right? And no, don't give me that look. But then I was like, first, there's just few numbers of these people that we have been able to identify. Secondly, these people that we have even managed to identify are unavailable to the general public. Some educators now will charge quite a huge amount. I say they only do personal one-on-one, this thing, like the 1% of the 1%. So I'm wondering that, so the other group of people who now have teachers to teach them, what would they do about it? And I've seen so many schools where is either the teacher doesn't come to school or I'm talking about government school. So the teacher doesn't come to school, or when the teacher comes, there's this lackadaisical attitude that, see, the topic I'm going to teach you people today, I'm not even interested. Go and buy textbook. From the textbook, copy what's in the textbook, I will mark your note. So there's that mentality that everything is la crème, la pour, la crème, la pour. That's a poor teaching method, right? But at that point, there's no care for it. But growing up, my dad used to explain teacher like, teacher, right? That's the person that you have to listen to in school. This is the person that's going to make you become what you want to become. That's the person that's going to make you aspire to perspire, apart from the house. But then I got to school. Maybe primary school was fair for me, but secondary school into senior secondary school into university, I was like, hey, this one don't be teacher.
I don't want to be this kind of teacher.
I don't want to be this kind of teacher. And that's even what prompted me to also start like my own school, that, okay, I have a different view of what teaching should look like. The fact that a lot of teachers don't even have training. So Peter Obi is going to get the good part of me today, which is he highlighted on his page talking about how a lot of teachers, about 70% of teachers don't even have, especially in public schools, don't even have the teachers training that they should to be able to.
Our Minister of Education is not an educator, like we heard on Friday.
Hold.
Something that has to do with kidney and lungs training, and you are in the education system.
Exactly. So you see how this thing is like far-fetched, where you know that even the teachers, whether the fact that they don't even have an idea of how they're supposed to teach would have a big impact on the kind of outputs they put for the children. Those ones who grow up and just feel like that's how teacher used to do. And if they eventually become teachers also, it's just like it's a circle thing. It keeps going on and on and on, and the educational system will start going down. I also saw where that thing, that best in mathematics, best in English, those things that we used to aspire for, that, okay, I have to make a very good grade so that I can get this best in maths, where prize giving day, your parents are wearing
to such days.
your parents are wearing their shoulder pad like this. But you see in these cases now that some teachers, which we have, personally, we have reported those cases. Some teachers will tell you, I can make you pass, I can give you best in mathematics. You just have to pay me this amount. I can help you pass this course. You have to pay me this amount, whether in kind or in cash. So you see that even in that system, you are only training the mind of the child or the individual that education is not all that. So exams too should be easy peasy if you have the kindness of your heart to give it, or the cash in your pocket to give it. You get what you want to get. So education has gone downwards, right? And it's coming from the teacher part, the how they have painted education to look like. So if we're going to approach how we can improve, looking at solutions now, how we can improve teacher quality, interaction between teachers and students, how do you think that we can go about this? Or what recommendations would you have that we can put out there?
I think we have to start from whoever ministry in this particular sector. It's true.
Is it ministry? It's giving church vibe.
It's true.
So it's you calling out the Minister of Education.
I'm so sorry. No, when certain things in a particular sector is not going well, where do we start from when we want to start, talking about who will put things in place? It has to be whoever that is, the head. And yes, that's why we have the Minister of Education. So you cannot tell me that there's this massive failure and all of this systemic problem and nothing is happening. There's nothing going on. Do you understand? I'm expecting that by now he already has him and some other people. They are sat down and they are thinking, okay, what do we do? I'm expecting that though. I'm not joking. I feel like that's what should be happening right now. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because again, there's a whole lot of problem happening. I like the fact that you made mention of this whole teachers thing. For me to elaborate more, you've already talked about government schools and all. Even in private schools, it's a lot. Many people just finish secondary school, and before you know, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to employ, people that just finish. School start. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think you should also look at the kind of class you want to place them in. Just, I'm still taking a course, right? You guys know about that already. I met someone in class that one day, and only just having conversations with her. I'm sorry, this person is not very, very, she's not, she's not. But guess what? She's actually teaching SS3.
Jesus.
What information does she, I'm confused. What exactly do you want to, pass? When I just looked at her, I'm like, okay, fine. What did you say you were doing again? I was shocked. I was confused. I didn't even know where to start from, even asking her. And I just let it go. But this is the problem. This is something that I see every day. Do you understand? Many of these people, you just finished secondary school or you just finished university, you're not even, somebody that probably studied...
They're expecting that your knowledge should be fresh out.
It's wrong.
So you should not give
it's
it
wrong.
to...
The other side of this is that in secondary school, I had a mathematics teacher. I hated maths, and I think some of my teachers contributed to it, but let us leave that. I loved English and literature. This maths teacher was the brightest in his set. He did study electrical engineering. But this person was frustrated. It was clear. They used to think that we students don't know frustrated teachers. It was clear that this is not the field I want to be in.
Come on.
And we used to have maths 2 periods every Monday. It was almost like, let me just teach and get out. And he will always let us know how he studied electrical engineering in school. So apart from having those that don't even know the book, there are some that are actually bright and smart, but they are in the wrong placement. Not even wrong. An engineering student should know maths, but you are not a teacher to pass that information of maths to the student for them to learn it. So it's 2 problems. There are those that they are loaded, they don't know anything, put them in SS3. Then there are those that are smart, but they are not meant to be in that education space to transfer knowledge.
That's why I said there's a difference between teacher and educator. So maybe if we start to combine those two, to teach the teachers to be educators and teach the educators to be teachers, maybe at that point we can have something. But to just wrap this conversation up, we need to also talk about the parents. The fact that the parents also, some way, somehow, God's beauty started with the parents, which was given an own contribution, that the parents, some way, somehow, also contribute to this mass failure. But you say that you already agree, but I don't know if Oluchi also agrees.
Parents contribute to mass failure. Well, I don't know exactly how they contribute, but of course, since it's a combination of everything, if I'm going to think of an experiential way, I think maybe the pressure they put on these students somehow contributes to it.
So psychologically.
So psychologically, even if they take the other side to do malpractice, because my mama say make I no write this jam again. Oh. So that's also pressure from the parents. Parents themselves think that this UTME is the hallmark. I don't want to go to church. Other parents are giving testimony of how their children have passed. My own child is not passing. So I think many times it's the pressure that comes with it. That
if you don't also provide the right tools or whatever that they would need for them to be able to understand what they are learning and all, that's also a problem. And I think that's something that many parents in the rural areas
by
struggle
tools,
with.
what do you by
probably books, probably maybe if the person even needs
financial
to go,
restraint.
yeah, that's one part.
But we will say that that's the parents' fault. No, I'm saying this because there are some people who are
you don't have
poor
the money,
but are very passionate about education. They would strive the hardest to make sure that their children go to the best schools, try to get, but they'll still struggle with providing books, so this will leave those children to now start relying on other friends that might have this textbook. So that's why I was asking that. Do you think that you would...
It's a secondary course. It's a secondary course.
To some extent it is.
Primarily, would you say that it's the parents?
To me, you
it's
would put it as a
course.
course. You're just trying to be emotional here because of their socio-economic status. The fact is that you are in this socio-economic status, but it's still affecting me. Because if I don't have the finances to get these books and materials, I would fail, regardless of the passion or not. So it's a secondary course that we don't like to open now because it can be very sentimental and emotional.
But it is very emotional, and this is why we should know that we cannot be poor parents, because all of she's going to come at us and be like, is it not you that bring me to this one? So why do you tell me you have financial constraints?
But honestly,
anyway, this is where we wrap up today's conversation. Thank you for joining in and watching us. Thank you to my co-anchors too for your insightful contribution. And to our viewers, I say thank you again for joining us on this important discussion. Please do ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Follow us on all our social media platforms, and I'll see you again tomorrow with another great topic. Bye-bye.
Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Usayome Sale from Ways Primetime. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?